Welcome back to Cryptic Accounts. Over the past two episodes, we've taken you on a journey through the dark underbelly of the entertainment industry. We've shown you the patterns of occult symbolism, the sacrifice narratives, and the normalization of spiritual darkness through mainstream media. We've introduced you to the puppet masters, figures like Marina Abramovic and Michelle Lamy, who serve as handlers for celebrities. We've explored the technological systems used to monitor and control both entertainers and audiences, and we've documented how these patterns appear globally. But tonight, we're going to answer the ultimate question: why? What's the agenda behind this global system of entertainment control? What are these forces trying to accomplish? And how does it all connect to the bigger picture of spiritual warfare and biblical prophecy? Because what we're dealing with isn't just about entertainment or even cultural influence. We're looking at a coordinated effort to prepare humanity for something much bigger, something that requires a population that's been spiritually conditioned to accept what would have been unthinkable just generations ago. Tonight, we're going to follow the money trails that fund this system. We're going to examine the insider testimonies from people who've seen this agenda firsthand. We're going to connect these patterns to biblical warnings about end times deception. And we're going to discuss what you can do to protect yourself and your loved ones from these influences. Because understanding the puppet masters and their methods is important, but understanding their ultimate agenda, that's what will determine whether you're prepared for what is coming.
This is Cryptic Accounts. By paranoid people. For paranoid people. Cryptic Accounts.
Welcome to Cryptic Accounts, a podcast by paranoid people for paranoid people. I'm Patrick Ryan, joined as always by Dennis Cheney.
Hello.
Hi, Dennis. Thank you all so much for listening. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things that helps us out. Write a comment, write a review. If you're listening, wherever you're at, do the things that you can do there because that helps us out immensely. Find us on social media. Cryptic Accounts is the main one. Cryptic Accounts Clips on Instagram. Facebook's just Cryptic Accounts. TikTok's just Cryptic Accounts. And Twitter is @AccountsCryptic. And you can go to crypticaccounts.com to see all the past show information, get links to everything. Support the show if you want to help us out monetarily. There's a link for that. That helps us out immensely. Big shout out to Michael, Sean, and Devin for throwing us a little bit of change this week. We appreciate it immensely. And also something else, now that I'm mentioning all this, something we should have been doing a long time ago that I think people will appreciate. I want to give it a shout out to some of our new followers, and I think over as we move forward, I'm going to go back and get some of the older ones that I didn't mention. But shout out to, I don't know if I should give out like full handles. I think maybe just
names.
They'll know who they are. Krista, Sid, and Angel, as well as Tegan, for following us on Instagram and on TikTok. Jake, J Cool, God's my co-pilot. I'll let that one go because I mean, it doesn't say as much. And Chandler, thank you all so much. There's a lot more of you, but those are the top ones that I see that just recently followed in the last week. There's way more. We could go on for a little bit. Thank you all. I see that people are actually doing it as we ask, and that helps us a lot. Like that really does, and we appreciate it. And I guess before we even really get into part 3 of this rabbit hole that we've gone down, we got some changes coming up that I feel like we should probably address a little bit.
Yep.
So we've been doing this every week, and because of some improvements we want to make to the show, some ways that we want to do it bigger, as well as some things that we're adding to make it more interactive for all of you. We're going to be stepping back a little bit. This is not us going away. I promise this is not us going away. We're not going to call this a vacation. We're going to be working, but the release schedule may get kind of spread out a little bit more. So make sure you're subscribed everywhere so that you get notifications. If you're on YouTube, you can click to get notifications on when there's a new episode coming out.
Yep. The bell. Click the bell.
Click the bell. And then obviously in your podcast streams, if you're listening, it's going to pop up in your feed when a new episode comes out. I don't think we're going to stretch out to more than a month off.
No.
As far as that, like, and I think we'll be doing other stuff in the meantime, maybe smaller stuff to just kind of keep you guys.
But stick around. Yeah.
Yeah, there's more coming. It's not. it's all good things, but we just don't have enough time to do everything that we're doing, and we're wanting to make some big improvements to our actually doing this part of the show, as well as additional stuff that we want to add to kind of get you guys more involved and make this more interactive for everybody. Kind of build a bigger community out of the whole thing is, I think, I want to say it, but also I probably shouldn't say it yet because it's not done.
Yeah.
So we'll tease it at that. But stick around. This not going anywhere. We're going deeper into this. We just need some time to kind of set some of that stuff up. Because putting this together takes time with all the research that goes into each episode and just getting it edited and all that. So that being said, I think that's all the announcements. Do you have any announcements, Dennis?
No, sir.
Anything you want to tell anybody?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm excited for the finale of the Hollywood trilogy.
Yes. Oh, man. I did not think it was going to become what it became.
Here we are. I kind of had an inkling when you were working on it. Because this was going to be a show we recorded in like May.
Yeah.
Or June, at least. Yeah.
I think it was May. I had like 2 competing scripts.
Right.
That I was going to go off of. And then I kind of combined both of those. And then that kind of exposed this bigger trail. And then it just made sense. Instead of doing like one 4-hour episode.
Yeah.
Like to break it up into these like hour and 20-minute-ish episodes. So with that being said, let's get into the conclusion of Dark Forces in Entertainment. Or the conclusion for now. The conclusion of this research is definitely not all that could be talked about with this. And we're definitely going to come back to this and probably drill into more specific examples and add more detail to it. So, we've kind of followed up the intro, kind of already explained what was going on in the last couple episodes. If you're dropping in now, go back and listen to the last 2 episodes, part 1 and 2. But that being said, let's get into following the money now that we've seen the symbolism and the puppet masters. So if you want to understand who's really behind the entertainment industry's occult agenda, you have to follow the money. That's the easiest way in any type of thing like this, an investigation, to figure out who's pulling strings, find out where the money's coming from.
Right.
So when you start looking into that, you discover a network of investment firms.
Why does it always go back to that? Even the Nazi stuff went back.
Yep. The money's always involved. There's got to be money for all this stuff. But investment firms, financial institutions, and corporate entities that have power to coordinate messaging across the entire global entertainment landscape. And these are names that most of you are going to be pretty familiar with right out of the gate. It's BlackRock, Vanguard,
Jinx,
and State Street.
Okay.
The 3 largest asset management companies in the world, they collectively control over 20 trillion assets. According to their 2023 annual reports, BlackRock manages $9.1 trillion, Vanguard manages $7.2 trillion, and State Street manages $3.7 trillion. These firms are major shareholders in every significant entertainment company, streaming platform, record label, and media conglomerate.
Have you ever heard, and I'm not 100% sure if this is true, but I've heard it from multiple sources. So, like modern art, like Jackson Pollock, like splatter paintings. Have you ever heard that the CIA funded that?
No.
Okay, so, and I have a point about this in the investment firm. So we've talked about like how there's like this darkness in this music and this kind of like hopelessness in general, even if you don't consider it like spiritual. But so back in the 50s, okay, Norman Rockwell. Okay, you know that.
Yeah.
It's like a kid playing or like a worker. Okay. Some people didn't like that. Some like rich, powerful people didn't like that.
Yeah, because a lot of those kind of had messages to them.
Yes, they did. And the message was usually like the common man, the working man. And that was like the most popular type of painting. And you see work. Like if you look at any building from like the 30s or 40s, like they'll have like little stone carvings of people like working. It was all about like the worker and stuff. But they didn't like that, so they invented a new movement. And now and then the cool thing began. Oh, we don't draw people, or we draw abstract, or we. So I feel like this is going to be very similar. Because
That's real. No, I'd never heard that. That's really interesting, but makes a lot of sense.
it was it was to fight communism. You couldn't be too pro worker.
Man.
Well, it was that's the reason, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes well, it makes sense as an excuse,
Yeah.
but and that there may have been some legitimacy to that thought process in its origin, but the way it's spun out is just
Yeah, but to make it where the cool thing is just ugly nonsense
yes.
is inherently dark.
And I feel like that's come back around a little bit. I think with the internet, like we know some artists that definitely do
Oh yeah.
like real paintings of
Yeah.
things that you can understand that are pro people,
But
pro middle class.
Look at the last episode though, Marina Abramovich.
Yes.
I saw her thing at MoMA, which is supposed to be a modern art museum.
Yep.
And her installation was her sitting at a table.
Yes.
So it's like it's all one big circle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So back to BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street. Some examples of things that they own. So BlackRock owns 6.2% of Disney, 7.8% of Netflix, and 6.4% of Warner Brothers and Discovery. So, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but actually, if you know very much about investment, that's a lot to own of one company.
Yes.
That's an influential amount. I believe it's I'm going to get this wrong. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% is you actually have to take a board seat. Like a lot of investment firms,
they try to stay right.
They will stay below that level so that they don't have to be as actively involved, but they own enough that they're like people at that company will listen to them. Because if BlackRock dumped all 6.2% of Disney all at once, it would tank the stock price.
Yeah. Well, the board shall manage, but the shareholder, they're still the owner.
Yeah, well, the board has a lot more fiduciary duty and has to show up to meetings. Like they have responsibilities outside of just I own a bunch of.
But you have immense power with like 7%.
Oh yeah, if you have even a few percent, the way stocks work, and it doesn't sound like it. And if you don't understand how that works, like if BlackRock, because it's BlackRock, if BlackRock was like, we're dumping all our Disney, Disney stock would tank because the market would get spooked. On top of that, not just that they're throwing in however many thousands, hundreds of thousands of shares that would be. I don't know how Disney actually breaks down. I know they've like split and like added shares. Like that's what a split is. They double them. Or they anyway. So that's an influential amount. Vanguard owns 8.1% of Disney, 7.2% of Netflix, and 8.9% of Comcast, which owns NBC Universal. State Street owns significant stakes in Sony Entertainment, Paramount Global, and Live Nation Entertainment. So between BlackRock and Vanguard alone, they own almost 15% of Disney.
Wow.
Between those two companies.
Wow.
They own about the same ratio with Netflix, too, which that's a lot.
Yeah.
So if those two companies, which they're talking.
Well, they got to be the single biggest, other than like,
Oh, I mean,
single bit,
Yeah, because I mean, Disney still owns a fair amount of their stock. Like their CEO owns it, like, and then their board is significant holders in it.
Okay.
So when the same financial entities control the major players across the entire entertainment landscape, they have unprecedented power to ensure consistent messaging. But it goes deeper than just ownership stakes. These investment firms use their shareholder power to influence corporate governance and strategic direction through environmental, social, and governance (ESG) investing criteria. They can pressure entertainment companies to promote specific social and cultural agendas.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the ESG is
a big issue.
It's a big issue in the last 5 to 10 years, like 10 years. BlackRock's 2021 letter to CEOs explicitly stated that companies must demonstrate purpose beyond profit, and that this purpose should align with stakeholder capitalism and social change initiatives.
That should be illegal.
Mm-hmm. Should.
Yeah.
The World Economic Forum, led by Klaus Schwab, has openly discussed using entertainment and media to shape public consciousness. Their 2020 report, The Future of Media, Entertainment, and Culture, explicitly states that, quote, the entertainment industry has a critical role to play in shaping public opinion and preparing society for necessary changes.
Oh my God.
This isn't hidden, it's their public stated agenda. Every time I talk about the World Economic Forum, people are like, nah, they didn't say that. I'm like, no, it's literally on their
Yeah, they
website.
published
Like,
there, yeah.
they publish it. This is what they say, just most people aren't reading it.
And the news you watch
Is not covering
is owned by
They're owned by
60%
it.
by BlackRock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video where it's all the like different news, like local newscasters saying the exact? It starts out and it's one, and then it shows another one doing it, and it shows like a stream of
hundreds,
and then there's just hundreds of them on the screen in little blocks, all saying the exact same thing. So the financial connections extend to individual celebrities as well. Jay-Z's streaming service Tidal received $200 million in funding from Sprint in 2017, which is now T-Mobile. Sprint was owned by SoftBank, a Japanese conglomerate with extensive ties to global financial networks and technology companies. While Sprint was acquired by T-Mobile in 2020, the deal was facilitated by Deutsche Bank, which has documented connections to global financial coordination efforts. Kanye West's Yeezy brand was valued at $1.5 billion, largely due to partnerships with Adidas and Gap. Both companies are heavily invested in the same institutional investors, are heavily invested in by the same institutional investors that control entertainment companies. When West began speaking out about the industry control and making controversial statements, these partnerships were terminated, demonstrating how financial pressure can be used to control celebrity behavior. The private equity firms that invest in entertainment companies often have leadership with documented connections to secretive organizations. The Carlyle Group, which has investments in entertainment companies, was co-founded by David Rubenstein, who is a member of the Council of Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. Apollo Global Management, another major private equity firm with entertainment investments, is led by Leon Black, who had documented business relationships with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, great.
Cryptocurrency and blockchain technology have introduced new financial mechanisms for coordinating global entertainment messaging. Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, which feature explicit occult symbolism, generated over $1 billion in sales. Many celebrities, including Jay-Z, Madonna, and Justin Bieber, purchased these NFTs, creating new revenue streams while promoting occult themes. The blockchain technology behind these NFTs allows for coordination and messaging that operates outside traditional regulatory frameworks. I don't know if you remember the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs.
Yeah.
They were, dude, some of those were going for like hundreds of thousands.
Then they all immediately just
tanked.
Yeah.
The financial incentives for promoting occult content are documented and significant. According to industry reports, controversial content generates 40% more engagement on social media platforms.
That's what we're talking about, controversy.
Yep.
That's why it's dark, yeah.
Yep.
Lazy and controversy.
Yep. Than traditional content. This increased engagement translates directly to higher advertising revenue and streaming numbers. Lil Nas X's Montero Call Me By Your Name video, which featured explicit satanic imagery, generated 400 million views in its first month, demonstrating the financial rewards for occult-themed content. It's almost like we live in a fallen world.
Yeah.
Where those things are going to get pushed forward by the one who's in control of this world.
And even the people who go on there to be like, I don't like this, that's contributing.
Yep. Us saying it somehow contributed to it in a weird way. Understanding these, well, they probably won't play it anyway, so. Understanding these financial networks is crucial because they reveal how what appears to be organic cultural change is actually the result of coordinated financial pressure. When the same entities that control global finance also control global entertainment, they have unprecedented power to shape human consciousness and behavior on a scale never seen in human history. So while the financial networks provide the structure for industry controls, it's the testimonies from insiders that reveal how this system actually operates on a day to day basis. These accounts from celebrities, industry professionals, and former participants provide disturbing insights into the reality of the entertainment industry's control mechanisms. Katy Perry's 2017 statement during a live stream provides one of the most direct admissions of industry control. During a conversation with therapist Dr. Siri Satnam Singh, Perry said, quote, "I sold my soul to the devil."
Yeah.
When the therapist asked her to clarify, Perry responded, "I literally sold my soul to the devil." The context wasn't metaphorical. She was discussing her transformation from a Christian contemporary artist who went by Katie Hudson at the time to pop star Katy Perry, and the specific changes she had to make to achieve mainstream success. Perry's transformation is documented and dramatic. As Katie Hudson, she released a Christian contemporary album in 2001 that features songs like Faith Won't Fail and Growing Pains. By 2008, as Katy Perry, she was releasing songs like I Kissed a Girl and incorporating explicit occult symbolism into her music videos. Her 2014 Dark Horse video featured Egyptian occult imagery, and her 2017 Bon Appetit video included cannibalistic themes. This represents exactly the kind of spiritual conversion that insiders describe as required for mainstream success.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, we talked last time on episode 2 of this series about I think it was Justin Bieber, like the people who they straight up control your social media,
Yep.
they control your whole image. They make you into a product.
Yep.
Which is so crazy because the normal person would just assume that whatever is popular is what people like.
Yep.
But the company doesn't even, because okay, so BlackRock owns part of BMI or whatever, but the company doesn't even care if people like the music as long as there's the right combination of controversy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we got to change this whole. We got to do something about this whole controversy making money thing. There's something.
I don't know how you do that.
Something about that so deeply, because you're being rewarded for people not liking it.
Kind of.
Well, no, literally, because it generates, you literally make more ad revenue because people hate watch it or have to see the controversy. So, like, I just feel like back in the day, okay, before like internet stuff, if you didn't like an album, you wouldn't buy it to listen to it to tell your friends it stinks. You just wouldn't buy it.
But a fair amount of people actually like this.
But now, well, oh yes, I agree. I agree.
Like you got Okay, so I was talking to somebody this week. Travis Scott, the Astroworld guy, who that may have been some sort of a sacrifice ceremony where the people got trampled. He kept on rapping.
Yeah.
He has a deal with Nike, and was listening to a guy brag about how he's getting some of these Travis Scott shoes. He's going to keep them because he likes Travis Scott so much, but he could resell them for 3 times the amount he paid for them because they're limited edition, but he doesn't want to because he's really into Travis Scott.
Oh, I fully believe. Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned this in the previous episodes too. I think I fully believe this speaks to people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, as somebody who I used to listen like a lot, never Travis Scott, but definitely a lot of stuff that when I go back and listen to it now, like it does like everything stands out in it as just dark and demonic.
Right.
And I was at the gym today and I started to turn on old music I used to listen to at the gym and listen to then I hear the lyrics and I'm like, I can't even listen to this anymore.
Yeah.
It's but if you're blind to it,
right,
you just it like zooms past you and you don't even really think about what they're saying.
I think I told you the story about my friend who really liked that song about the dude cheating on his wife with a dude or whatever, and how it clearly like it spoke to something inside her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But she wouldn't admit it. She's like, "No, it's catchy." And I'm like, "Yeah, but this fits with all this other stuff about you and your you know what I mean?"
Mm-hmm.
It's just yeah. People don't it's kind of like a guilty pleasure or something where it's like, yeah.
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 I don't even know if I call it guilty pleasure because they're proud of it.
It's
Like
not the yeah.
it does. It's like the lyrics zoom by, and I was guilty of it too. Like it's not looking down on anybody at all with
No.
it. Like it's spiritual blindness is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a numbness and it's a blindness.
But I think when you're numb and blind,
You do almost just hear the beat.
I mean, if you're living if your whole lifestyle is wrapped up in like a certain kind of sin, like and that becomes part of your identity, like it's very hard to and that song like affirms that.
Mm-hmm.
It affirms that to you, then it's like almost like a comforting thing
Yes.
because but then like if somebody comes along and says, "Oh, well that's actually kind of messed up." Like do you really it's well, it's just the beat, it's just the
Mm-hmm.
because it's somebody's confronting you with like your own life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And an even more revealing, and I think we've talked. I don't think we've never talked about it on the show, but I think we've talked about this. Bob Dylan.
Okay.
A 2004 interview with Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes included a cryptic but revealing admission about making a bargain with supernatural forces. When Bradley asked him about his longevity and continued success, Dylan responded, quote, "It goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, long time ago, and I'm holding up my end." When Bradley pressed him about who he'd made that bargain with, Dylan said, with the chief commander in this earth and in the world we can't see."
That's the only means one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
From a biblical perspective, the chief commander of this world is Satan.
Well, Bob Dylan made a Christian album. He knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's referenced in 2 Corinthians 4:4, which calls Satan the god of this age. Dylan's language suggests an awareness of spiritual forces that most people don't understand. His subsequent career, spanning over 6 decades with continued success well into his 80s, represents the kind of supernatural longevity that insiders describe as evidence of spiritual contracts. Back to Kanye West's public statement about industry control, which has become increasingly explicit over the years. Beyond his admission that his mother had been sacrificed, he's spoken about handlers who monitor and control celebrity behavior. In November 2022, in an interview with Alex Jones, West stated, quote, "They got handlers. They got people that are assigned to control you. And if you don't do what they say, they can make your life very difficult." The late Isaac Cappy, an actor who appeared in films like Thor and Terminator Salvation, made explosive allegations about Hollywood's occult practices before his death in 2019. In a series of social media posts and videos, Cappy claimed to have witnessed ritualistic abuse and occult ceremonies involving major entertainment figures.
Oh.
His July 2018 Instagram video specifically named Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, and other A-list celebrities as participants in what he called, quote, "ritualistic abuse of children."
Oh, wow.
Cappy's death on May 13th, 2019, ruled as a suicide after he jumped from a bridge in Arizona.
It's always a suicide.
And they're always jumping off of stuff.
Yeah, they're always.
There's a lot of
I know, windows, bridges.
Yep.
Yeah.
This followed a pattern of suspicious deaths among individuals who've made similar allegations. His final Instagram post, made hours before his death, stated, quote, "I have told people about my situation, and if anything happens to me, know that there is a very evil group of people out there, and they are not to be played with."
There's always that type of thing, too. They're always like, "I am not suicidal." Jumps out of hotel window.
Jumps off a bridge in Arizona.
Which I know, like, there's like a media trope of like, oh, there's a person on the bridge or in movies and shows, there's always like a person standing on the ledge of a building or whatever. But like, how often have you ever heard in your life of that ever really happening? Like outside of people who have like dirt on companies and say stuff like I'm not suicidal, like jumping off something like isn't a normal way to off yourself. Like,
nope.
It's not. There's so many other
Yep.
ways to do that.
Yep. The timing and circumstances of his death raised questions among
That
researchers.
One Direction guy.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you.
No. Yeah,
He
exactly.
fell off of it.
He fell
When
out.
do you ever hear about that? Okay, if somebody
Yeah, he jumped out of a hotel window.
if somebody jumped out of okay, we live in Kansas City.
Yes.
There's like a 1.5 million people here.
Yes.
Okay, if somebody jumped out of the Ramada off Metcalf,
Mhm.
that would be a huge news story.
Yes.
Have you ever in your life heard of somebody doing this other than a famous person? Other than people who say bad things about Vladimir Putin?
I can't say never. That's not usually. Well, yeah, it's not usually jump out of a window. It's usually take yourself out with
The
pew-pew.
normal ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jumping out of a window sounds like a terrible way to do it, because then you got the whole way down to go like, oh no, what have I done?
Well, they have interviewed. Well, now that I say that, there is
people
a whole book about people who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes, there's people who've done it,
Yeah.
but it's not. I wouldn't say it's the most common way.
It seems like a disproportionate way for people with dirt on powerful people today.
It does happen a lot like that, where that does seem to be, especially like in things like Cappy or whatever, where it's like they were saying stuff, our dude from One Direction, where it's like they were saying stuff and then they jump out of something.
I would like to see a study on people like the Boeing guy or
that was another weird
Cappy,
one.
or
Pew-pewed himself several times in a truck.
I'd like to see a study that compares that to like some sort of representative sample of just like normal people who are like going through a rough time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to see like what is the statistical odds, if you have 1,000 normal people who off themselves, what are the odds that they jump out of a window? And then what are the odds if you're one of these celebrities,
Well, and I don't have the exact numbers, but I think that came up in research in one of either the first or second part, where it's very disproportionate.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's not normal. Especially when people are like coming out and saying stuff about stuff like this, and then all of a sudden now we want to do this.
Also, those are people on a mission.
Yes.
How many people? Usually, somebody who does something like that, they're. Now, I understand that they're obviously if you're saying, hey, this industry's evil, they got their hook. Okay, you're going through a rough time.
Yes.
Because that would be a terrible position to be in, whether it's true or not.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't know. I made my point. I just think it's just too weird how often you hear that, but you never really hear it in regular life. You're never like, oh, my friend Sydney's mom jumped out of a hotel balcony. Like you never actually hear it yet.
Mel Gibson's 2017 statements about Hollywood's culture of death provided another insider perspective on industry practices. In an interview with Graham Ledger, Gibson described Hollywood as promoting, quote, the systematic destruction of traditional values and the promotion of spiritual darkness.
Yes.
Gibson, who has maintained his Catholic faith despite industry pressures, specifically mentioned that Hollywood executives, quote, get their kicks from destroying the sanctuary of children, and described the industry as being controlled by people who, quote, feast on the blood of the innocents. Gibson's career difficulties following these statements illustrate the consequences of speaking out against industry practices. Despite being one of the most successful directors and actors in Hollywood history, Gibson was essentially blacklisted from major studio projects after making these allegations. Another one, Britney Spears' conservatorship case revealed the extent to which the industry can legally control celebrities' lives.
Yep.
For 13 years, from 2008 to 2021, Spears was unable to make basic decisions about her own life, finances, or career. Her June 2021 testimony to Los Angeles Supreme Court included disturbing details about being forced to perform against her will, being medicated to ensure compliance, and being prevented from having children or getting married. Spears testified, quote, I've lied and told the whole world I'm okay and I'm happy. It's a lie. I thought if I said that enough, maybe I might become happy because I've been in denial. I've been in shock. I am traumatized. Her description of being forced to take lithium and being threatened with punishment if she didn't comply provides a glimpse into the control mechanisms that may be operating behind the scenes for other celebrities.
That's like a super outdated drug to put somebody on.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like chemically lobotomizing her because she.
That is basically what it does.
Yeah.
The Me Too movement revealed widespread abuse in the entertainment industry, but many of the testimonies included descriptions of ritualistic elements that suggest occult practices. Rose McGowan's allegations against Harvey Weinstein included descriptions of ritualistic humiliation and psychological manipulation that went beyond typical sexual assault. Similar patterns appeared in testimonies against other industry figures, suggesting systematic rather than isolated abuse. These insider testimonies, taken together, paint a picture of an industry where occult practices are not only common, but systematically promoted and protected. The consistency of these accounts across different time periods, genres, and levels of industry suggest a coordinated system rather than isolated incidents. The testimonies also reveal the consequences of speaking out against these practices. Careers are destroyed, individuals are marginalized, and in some cases, people die under suspicious circumstances. This pattern of retaliation ensures that most insiders remain silent about what they've witnessed or experienced. Understanding these insider testimonies is crucial for anyone seeking to understand how the entertainment industry's occult agenda operates in practice. These aren't just theories or speculation, they're documented statements from people who've seen the system from the inside. But to truly understand what we're witnessing in the entertainment industry, we need to examine it through the lens of biblical prophecy and spiritual warfare. The patterns we've documented aren't just cultural phenomena or business strategies. They're manifestations of a spiritual battle that's been raging since the beginning of time. The Bible warns repeatedly about deception in the last days. In Matthew 24:24, Jesus said, "For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect." The entertainment industry's ability to use technology, symbolism, and mass media to deceive millions of people aligns perfectly with these warnings. 2 Timothy 3 1 through 5 describes the characteristics of the last days. But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. This description perfectly captures the values promoted by modern entertainment.
Oh man, the form of godliness while denying its power.
Yep.
That to me is empathy culture.
Yep.
Which I hate. It's like the only value you have. It's out of this like Looney Tunes Acme box, like empathy, with no actual basis for what that even means or why you have that or what's the line between when it becomes toxic or when it's good. It's just like it always boils down to some social contract where it's like we just ignore each other's sins, basically. You know what I mean?
Virtue signaling.
Yeah. Virtue signaling is part of empathy culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the form. Because virtue's good. It's good to be, against bad things like racism or that's a form of godliness.
Yes.
To be like, we're all God's children, but then when you turn it into this toxic like culture, I hate saying the word cancel culture, but that type of thing, woke or whatever, like it's the form of godliness without any and it's just like a lawless, just people tearing each other. It's always tearing down, it's never building up,
So this description perfectly captures the values promoted by modern entertainment. The celebration of selfishness, materialism, pride, and pleasure seeking that dominates popular culture represents the exact spiritual conditions that the Bible warns will characterize the end times. Isaiah 5:20 provides another relevant warning. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Um, The entertainment industry's role in normalizing occult practices promotes moral relativism, and attacking traditional religious values represents exactly this kind of spiritual inversion. The concept of spiritual warfare is central to understanding this phenomenon. Ephesians 6:12 states, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." The entertainment industry serves as a battlefield in this spiritual war. The occult symbolism, sacrifice narratives, and technological control mechanisms we've documented are weapons in a spiritual conflict designed to capture human souls and prepare society for the establishment of a global system that opposes God. Revelation 13 describes a future global system where a single authority will control commerce, communications, and culture worldwide. Verses 16 through 17 state, "It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name." Which, on this, and I didn't put it in here, but I was reading something about this. Actually, when you go back, I forget which language it is, but when you go back to like the original, which I don't remember, I think he wrote it in Greek.
You're talking about the apocalypse?
Yeah, well, with John writing Revelation, when he
Yeah.
wrote that,
I do think that is in Greek.
the actual word that gets used there is not on their forehead, it's in their forehead or their right hand.
Oh, I hate that. Like a chip, like the
Which
old
leads
school
even
chip.
more
Yeah.
to the chip. Like the original word that was used, it
Neuralink
could be.
in your head. Yeah.
I mean, I believe it's in Sweden. They're already playing with they're already practicing it. It's not widespread yet, but they're doing testing to where all your information is on a little chip that goes in your hand, like right there.
Oh, I hate that.
Like your ID,
Yeah.
credit stuff, everything. You can put everything in there, and then you can just scan that part of your hand everywhere to do anything.
I've often wondered, not really a biblical scholar, but I've wondered if head and hand aren't, because the head and right hand, right?
Yes.
I've wondered if that's not like a kind of like a symbolic, not purely symbolic, but like, your head is where you would wear like a crown, your right hand is where you'd wear like a ring or a scepter or something. I've often wondered if that's not like a sign of like who's ruling over you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe if you go back, like if somebody was placing a ring on your hand to show power, it would go. I believe it goes on your right hand. Like if you were getting like the king gave you his like signet as like
Right.
a sign of your authority from him. I believe it went on your right middle finger.
Right.
So, and yeah, a crown on your forehead. There's also I've seen some
Also an anointing.
that also goes on your forehead. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think it's based on the interpretation thing. That kind of blew my mind because I'd never gone and actually looked that up in original language. I do like to do a lot of expository dictionary stuff and look up
Yeah.
words. I haven't gone through Revelation in that great of detail to see that, but the more we do everything that we've been doing, I probably should be digging a lot deeper into Daniel, Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Revelation.
Right.
And really kind of ripping those apart and seeing what words meant that were being used there. But the in instead of on was a real big like, oh,
That's very interesting.
that leads to some sort of a chip as opposed to like a tattoo, which is what we thought 30 years ago.
Right.
Of course, technology has advanced past then to where it wouldn't be a barcode. It could
Well,
just
it's like
in your skin.
I have a digital wallet on this. It's
Yes.
inside it. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So the entertainment industry's role in creating a unified global culture that promotes occult themes and undermines traditional religious values fits perfectly with this biblical prophecy. The technological surveillance and control mechanisms we documented serve as preparation for the kind of total control described in Revelation. The Bible also warns about the role of false signs and wonders in end times deceptions. 2 Thessalonians 2, chapter 2, 9 through 12 describes how the lawless one will come with all kinds of false miracles, signs, and wonders, and how God will send a powerful delusion so that they will believe the lie. The entertainment industry's use of technology to create increasingly realistic illusions and its promotion of supernatural themes that contradict biblical truth align with these warnings. From a spiritual warfare perspective, the entertainment industry's occult agenda serves multiple purposes. It normalizes spiritual darkness, undermines biblical authority, promotes moral relativism, and conditions people to accept supernatural phenomena that contradicts Christian teaching. This spiritual conditioning prepares society for the great deception that the Bible warns will characterize the end times. The energy harvesting theories we've discussed in part 2 also align with biblical warnings about spiritual predation. Jesus warned in John 10:10 that the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy, and the concept of harvesting spiritual energy from unwitting participants fits this pattern of spiritual theft.
So I just looked this up because I thought I remembered it. So Revelation 7, 1 through 8 describes Christians having a seal on their forehead.
Does it?
Yes, I just remember this from the past. So Revelation chapter 7 says the redeemed bear a seal on their foreheads. The seal consists of the names of God and the Lamb and shows they're believed redeemed and belong to God. This particular source, debatable or whatever, says the seal is presumably not visible, but a way of indicating that people find their identity in relation to God and Christ. And the seal or relationship does not mean that people are exempt from all earthly suffering, but it does show that God has claimed them. It has something to do with the 144,000. But at the sea, to me, when I heard, because I used to think chip or tattoo, but somebody brought up this to me one time about the seal on the Christians too.
Yes, there is, and I believe that's true. I mean, because you hear people like so, and we've never discussed it on the show, and at some point we'll probably do a witch episode at some point. But I know I've sent you videos of like ex-witches that have become Christians talking about how when they were trying to put like they would go into like the spirit world and they were astral projecting is what they were doing. But they would talk about when they would want to do curses or
they could see who's
like
protected.
like they wanted to spy on a Christian or just spy on somebody because they would astral project and they could see people. Like they had that power to like I could go see what that person's doing,
right?
And then I would know what to tell them. When they go to do that to Christians, there would be like this hedge around them of just light where they couldn't see. Like they couldn't see what they were doing. They couldn't put the curse on them. Like there was a lot of stuff like that, and I've heard multiple like ex-witches talk about this. Like they would go into the spirit realm and like they couldn't see into
Interesting.
So I believe that's something very similar.
So really everybody will have a mark.
Yes.
It'll be one or the other.
Yeah, the Christian one, I go with that though. It's not going to be a visible mark. Like we're not going to get something tattooed on our forehead. We're sealed already. I mean, the Bible talks about that throughout. That I know who are mine. They're written in the Lamb's Book of Life. They are sealed. No one can snatch them from my hand.
But John is also, I mean, like the nature of prophecy is esoteric. So he's having a vision.
Oh yeah,
he's saying all kinds of crazy things.
Well, he's seeing stuff he can't understand.
Right. So I mean, in that state of mind or whatever you would call it when you're being given prophecy, he might be able to see a seal that's spiritual.
Yeah. Well, he's seeing tons of spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
Throughout that, like.
So that's why I'm saying I don't necessarily think the mark of the beast is physical in any, not necessarily in any way, because he might just see, it's like that movie where Roddy Piper,
yeah,
where he puts on the glasses and he could see. I almost think it's something like that because when you're getting this download from God on Patmos or whatever, but like he could probably see the lions and the lamb and the goat.
That's true. Well, but Revelation also talks about how in the end times you will have to take the mark to buy and sell.
That is
true. So it is something that is an ultimate definitive decision. Like,
but think about Katy Perry. Think about I sold my soul or whatever. Like you could say she took the mark because because if it's a spiritual seal and you either have Christ's seal or the beast seal, you could say like if I'm John on Patmos and I'm being shown this vision and I see Katy Perry as part of the vision and I could see not just her physically, I can see her aura or whatever you want to call it, or the spiritual seal that's on her, kind of like putting on the glasses.
Here's
I'm
the
not trying to
thing.
go too far.
No. And
Yeah.
here's the thing with that, because there's, man, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head. There's a very well known ex high priest in the Satanic Church that has talked about this. You can't sell what's not yours. You don't actually own your soul.
Right.
God owns all the souls.
Yeah.
So, because there's people who have sold their soul and then converted and become Christians.
Oh,
And they're some of
absolutely.
the most powerful witnesses now
Absolutely.
because it all turns around. So, just I don't think that the selling your soul part is actually the mark part because of that.
I also wonder about that too, because when Christ comes back, there's going to be people who say, "Didn't we prophesy? Didn't we?"
Yes.
Wouldn't those people be marked?
Not in this way, not in the mark of the beast way. I mean, I don't think it's happened yet.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody who's saying they've sold their soul or anything like that
I agree with you.
has
Yeah.
taken that.
I
Because,
agree. I agree. There'll be some real world event that is the marking,
yes.
and it'll be verifiable in some way.
Well, and by revelation, it comes with the Antichrist.
Right.
It's during that time that
Yeah.
all that's going to happen because he's going to unify a one world government, a one world monetary system, and a one world religion.
Yeah.
Like, and it's going to come with all of that. It's going to come with that monetary system.
Right.
I think we're getting close with a lot of the technology that we have, and now with everything with blockchain and the way we can do things with cryptocurrencies, and then the technology that's coming out is just. I mean, did you ever see videos where they zoom in on like an iPhone chip
Oh yeah.
and it looks like
Like
a
a
Grand
sigil
Theft Auto
or-
map?
Yeah.
And they go past like a human hair, and it's just like that's demon tech. We're walking around with demon technology. Like this is
Where did this go?
this is fallen angel stuff. I really think it is.
Interesting.
Like I
Well, I mean, if you believe the whole, the semiconductors came from like UFOs, and if you believe UFOs are like demonic, well, there you go. Technically, if you read the book of Enoch, makeup is demon stuff.
yeah,
So it's not that crazy to say an iPhone is.
no.
A sword. A
Yeah.
sword made of steel. Stuff that people were riding around.
Well, and I don't know that necessarily those things in and of themselves are demonic. Like, I definitely don't think a sword is. I don't really think makeup is either, but we didn't know about it. Like, that's where we get pharmacology.
Yeah, but
if you
it's
believe the
not-
Book of Enoch, that's where medicine comes from.
Right, but you're right.
They
But we
had
got
the
the
knowledge.
right. But there's lots of knowledge we may have not had were it not for the tree of the fruit of the knowledge of
Yeah.
good and evil that isn't necessarily in and of itself bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, keep going.
No.
Yeah. I'm done.
But no, I don't think any of those things are necessarily in and of themselves bad. How we got them is not the greatest way, but that's also like, it's not like it caught any up. God wasn't caught by surprise.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's go, and this is the last thing I'll say. Do you think in heaven there'll be makeup or swords?
No, because it's gonna be a perfected. You're gonna be the most perfect version
Right.
of yourself. Like
There's
whatever
no
that
reason for
means.
vanity or violence or.
Well, there won't. There definitely.
Look, I mean,
won't be a
Peter
need for
carried
that.
a sword, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the archangel Michael and Gabriel carries. We know they
Right.
carry. They have swords.
But that's because they're angels. It's angel technology.
Well, but that's where originally that's where the fallen angel. That's where that's coming from.
Drop a comment below. Is makeup demonic?
Yes. Let's have that discussion pop up. I will probably make that part a short and see how that does. TikTok will probably hate it. Are they to love it? I can't tell with that algorithm.
I mean, look, like a car. There's probably no need for like a car in the city of heaven.
I would think not.
It could the internal combustion engine, but that doesn't make it like evil.
No.
Yeah. So
Why'd you go to car?
I was just trying to think of like a technology.
I mean, do I hope we still get to like as a gearhead, a guy who likes cars?
Will there be?
In my mind, I hope we get to still have cars. Will they be necessary? Probably not. Would I like to have them? Yes.
I think we teleport.
I think so too, but also like if I could like have
Tinker, I know.
access to like every old muscle car that I've ever wanted to drive,
Yeah.
like supercars, stuff like that, like
To work on them and yeah.
yeah, because it's not like despite what the media like has made a lot of people believe, like we're not floating around on clouds with little harps.
No,
That's not
it's
what
a
we're
real
doing.
physical existence.
Yes.
But Christ raising from the dead shows us that that physical existence isn't going to be the one we have now. Like he could walk through a
Yes.
wall. Yeah, so
He could walk through a wall. I mean, they didn't recognize him at first.
right.
So that part has always kind of messed me up because then they do recognize him. So
That part gets me too when
is
they
that a
have
spiritual thing that happened, or does he look different and then like the marks in his hands prove that he was him and then he knew everything about them still?
it's
I've wondered that.
probably I might put together. Well, I don't know if this is an episode for this show, but I'm very fascinated by whatever that is, like whatever that type of thing is,
Mm-hmm.
because like that's very similar to when people have like a vision encounter or some kind of like paranormal experience where three people will see a light in the sky and one person will report like a metal craft and another one will report the Virgin Mary and another one will report like an owl or something. Like there's something I guess you would for lack of a better word like extra dimensional,
Yes, I'd agree with that.
about whatever that next state is.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
we're
I
gonna
don't
find out.
but yeah, I think about that actually every once in a while about how they didn't recognize him
Yes.
and what that means and
Yeah, it's very yeah. That's one that's always kind of got me as I've gone through the Gospels. Just like, and then they did recognize him, but like he didn't. It doesn't say that he changed any kind of form. He still looked the same. Their eyes were open.
it might be very similar to like what they call sometimes the messianic secret. Like okay.
Or like when I shave my beard and friends don't recognize me.
Face blindness. All the disciples are face blind.
Maybe.
But like, okay, so like the messianic secret's like the idea that people will say, well, and it even has to do with like biblical criticism. They'll say like, well, the book of Mark has to be the oldest and the book of John has to be the newest. And they say that because of the Christology in the books. They say because in Mark it's way like you open up John and it's immediately like the word was God and you know what I mean?
He seems to know more.
Well,
not I shouldn't say it.
They
Like,
call it like a higher Christology.
yes.
Like they like if you didn't ever have access to a Bible and I just handed you the book of John, you would come away immediately and be like, Jesus is God.
Yes.
But when you read Mark, and these are the two extremes, it's more of like you have to have a spiritual understanding of what he's saying
Yes.
and what he's doing. You have to be like, well, only God can forgive sins. You have to have like extra knowledge.
Well, to that point, you're right. John is the easiest one to hand
Yes.
somebody. It has to do with because I've read up on this a fair amount, and I wouldn't say I'm any kind of an expert, but it had to do with the audience they were sending it to.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is like, so there's a lot of scholars who they date the Bible based on their preconceived notion that Christians didn't believe early on that he was God.
Yes.
So they have this preconceived idea. Really, if you read Mark carefully, he's straight up God.
Yes.
But
all four of them.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just using those because those are the two extremes.
Those they are extremes.
So they're like, well, John has to be later, even though there's like no real reason for this. Like they're just like, well, John has to be later than Mark because the Christology is higher. So, but like in Jesus's lifetime, there's always the question of like the messianic secret, like why didn't he just like come out and say it? Well, number one, because you'd be immediately executed. So, and that's the reason why the guy tore his clothes when Jesus said, "I am." But like.
Yeah, Caiaphas, the high priest.
Yeah, so one, it's kind of a silly. It's like building error on error. You're like, what you have some preconceived notion about like what God's supposed to do. Like Jesus is supposed to roll in with 2 machine guns and be like, "I'm God." Like, but really he had like a specific mission and it was supposed to end on the cross during Passover. But because there's like a certain spiritual blindness or like you can't accept the supernatural aspect of the story, you say, well, because in Mark he's not that, because even Jesus said on the cross, like I could call down a legion of angels, But they say, well, because he wasn't that character in Mark, he was like keeping it secret. Like it's a secret, like that he's okay.
It's more tongue in cheek.
Right. So where was I going with this? I was going somewhere with this. Where were we right before I said this?
Oh boy. How did we get to this?
I do have a point.
Somebody's yelling at the computer right now.
I know. I did have a point. I had a point, and it had to do with. Oh, it has to do with his shape-shifting. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were talking. We were talking about how they didn't recognize him.
So just like how when you're in a state of prophecy, you're like in this esoteric like realm of like forms, like it's possible that like like when Jesus asked Peter, like, who do you say that I am? Like, who am I? He's like, you're the Messiah. Like, it had to be like this revelation. So like that to me, maybe when they were talking to him and didn't recognize him, might be like this spiritual form of like they have to, because they just saw him die.
Yeah.
So to mentally, if you just watched a dude be murdered in the most horrendous way possible, and then the next day you're out taking a walk in the park,
and he's like, "Hey,
yeah, like you might not immediately
put that together.
You might just be like, no, that's just a person that looks like him, or that's like you literally would be like, that's your brain wouldn't let you accept it.
Yeah,
you're like, that's impossible.
Well, yeah, because they felt defeated at that point.
Yeah, so you're walking, you're talking to this guy. So
well, they're confused at that point because the tomb's empty.
Well, literally, if I watched you get tortured and die, and then a week later, even if your grave was empty, I'm out taking a walk, and you just like come up and you're like, hey, like, what? How are you doing? Like, I may be able to, like, I probably would not immediately be like, Pat's back from the dead. Yeah. So maybe like that's part of the reason they didn't recognize him. But what it took to recognize him is to intellectually and spiritually come to terms with the idea that like this guy raised himself from the dead.
Yeah.
And so they recognize him because they come to the spiritual understanding that like, oh,
yeah,
stuff just got way bigger.
Yes.
And so it's like a you know, that video where the people are passing a basketball and the monkey walks by and nobody sees it. So maybe so that's where I was going with that.
Mm-hmm.
Long way around there. But I think maybe they didn't recognize him because it took a spiritual revelation that Jesus was God and capable of entering the dead to get over what would be completely normal to be like, it's impossible that he's Jesus.
No, that actually, that would explain it a lot. Like,
I'm very proud of myself, right? That's my new explanation for that.
So back to all this. The global coordination we've documented in the entertainment industry aligns with biblical prophecies about a worldwide system of control. Revelation 17 describes a global religious and political system that will dominate the earth in the last days. And the entertainment industry's role in creating unified global culture serves this prophetic agenda. Like, it's shaping people up. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of stuff to it where it's just like, it's gonna like desensitize people to a lot of things.
That's the problem we talked about in the Antichrist episode.
Yeah.
The problem is the same as it took a spiritual revelation to see Jesus. If I deaden you so much that you're incapable, there's I think it's a nun. There's somebody who had a vision and was told that Jesus comes 3 times to everybody in hell.
Really?
Yes.
And does what?
Gives them the opportunity to leave.
Really?
Yeah. But if you aren't in the state of mind to recognize that that's possible and to take the offer, you're not going to do it.
Interesting. I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's the same with this. It's the same with preparing the world for this. If I can make you so spiritually dead, then like, because people often say like, well, if they try to tattoo 666 on my head, I'm just not going to do it. It's like, but if I can deaden you so much that you refuse to see the reality.
You're convinced it's a good thing because it's how you're going to be able to do all the things you need to do to stay alive.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware of Revelation and all that.
How many times in the Bible does somebody give a prophecy, the stuff starts happening, people still don't believe you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the Bible's full of that. So understanding the biblical framework for these phenomena is essential, like we're saying, for developing proper spiritual discernment. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to recognize what's happening.
Yeah.
Um, and what we're witnessing isn't just cultural change or business evolution. It's the fulfillment of biblical prophecy about spiritual warfare and end times deception. The entertainment industry's occult agenda represents a coordinated effort to prepare humanity for the establishment of a global system that will oppose God and persecute believers. Recognizing this spiritual dimension is crucial for anyone seeking to understand the true significance of the patterns we've documented. But understanding the biblical framework also provides hope. The Bible promises that God's people will not be deceived if they remain faithful to his word and maintain spiritual discernment. The same scriptures that warn about end times deceptions also provide guidance for recognizing and resisting these spiritual attacks. The patterns we've documented throughout this series aren't just historical phenomenon, they're accelerating and becoming more explicit in current events. Recent developments in the entertainment industry suggest that the spiritual warfare we've described is intensifying and approaching a critical phase. The 2024 Grammy Awards featured the most explicitly satanic imagery in the event's history. Sam Smith and Kim Petras' unholy performance included devil costumes, fire effects, and religious mockery that generated widespread condemnation from religious groups. But what's significant isn't just the content, it's the mainstream acceptance and celebration of such imagery. CBS, the network broadcasting the Grammys, tweeted, quote, "We are ready to worship."
Right. Well, there it is. It's just like the disciples not representing
Before the event, because they knew what was getting ready to happen.
Right. But it's like if you do not have discernment, they will put the devil
Yep.
right in front of you, and your own brain will be like, nah.
Yep.
It can't be bad. Just like Jesus can't be risen from the dead. It's impossible.
And all like that it really proves and indicates institutional support for satanic themes. The fact that major corporations and media outlets are now openly promoting satanic imagery represents a significant escalation in the spiritual warfare we've documented. The recent deaths of several young entertainers under suspicious circumstances continue the pattern of sacrifice narratives we've discussed in part 1, and then Liam Payne's death in October 24, following his statements about industry control and handlers, fits the established pattern of celebrities dying after speaking out about industry secrets. Payne's final social media post included references to feeling, quote, trapped and, quote, being controlled by forces beyond my understanding. His death from a fall at a Buenos Aires hotel occurred just days after he'd posted cryptic messages about, quote, breaking free from industry control. The circumstances surrounding his death, including the presence of unknown substances and the lack of witnesses, raised questions among researchers familiar with similar cases. The rise of artificial intelligence in entertainment has introduced new possibilities for spiritual manipulation. AI generated music, deepfake videos, and virtual performers create opportunities for occult messaging that operate below the level of conscious awareness. The technology we discussed in part 2 being rapidly deployed across the entertainment landscape. In 2024, several major record labels began using AI to create virtual artists that can be programmed with specific messaging and symbolism. These AI performers can incorporate occult themes without the complication of human celebrities who might resist or speak out. The technology allows for unprecedented control over messaging and symbolism. Social media platforms have become increasingly aggressive in promoting occult content while suppressing religious and conservative viewpoints. The algorithmic manipulation we documented is being used to ensure that occult themes reach maximum audiences while traditional religious content is shadow banned or censored.
And here's why you have to do it. We just talked about how the controversy drives a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
But if you there'd be controversy with Christian views.
Mm-hmm.
If we weren't shadow banned, there'd be so many comments of people saying this is religious nonsense, fundamentalism, but that would actually help drive. So you just don't show it to people.
Yeah, because
it all
there'd
comes
be
down
engagement, and then it grows more.
Yeah.
Please share. please share.
Leave a hate comment if you have to.
Whatever,
Engagement.
honestly, anything helps. TikTok's algorithm, which I've become all too familiar with, and it makes no sense. So we did an exorcism episode a few weeks ago. Pulled the what was her name? The 14-year-old girl, 11-year-old girl who had the voice and all that come out of her, and then picture of her floating. That video did not great, but it got like it was shown to people. So I'm like, oh, okay, let's pull another clip from that episode. So I pulled us talking about the original, like what the movie The Exorcism is based on. Knowing like they didn't show it to anybody.
Right, they just don't show it. You can post a video that showed it to 8 people.
Yep.
Like you can't.
I think that one's up to like 40.
You can't be like, make better videos, get better equipment. You showed it to 8 people, and I was 2 of those because I came back and looked at it.
Oh, the first 24 hours, it was literally like 3 or 4 views after the last one doing like 1,500 in 24 hours.
It's impossible to get engagement.
Nope.
Yeah.
TikTok's algorithm in particular has been documented to promote witchcraft, occult practices, and anti-Christian content to young users. A 2024 study by the Media Research Center found that TikTok's algorithm was 12 times more likely to show occult content to users who had previously engaged with religious content, suggesting deliberate targeting of religious audiences with spiritual warfare content. The integration of virtual and augmented reality into entertainment experiences has created new opportunities for mass ritual participation, as we've discussed. Virtual concerts, AR filters, and immersive experiences allow for unprecedented levels of audience participation in occult-themed content. Back to Travis Scott. He did a 2024 virtual concert in Fortnite, which included explicit demonic imagery and ritualistic elements that millions of players participated in unknowingly. The virtual environment allowed, like, that, what happened at his concert, the more I read about that dude, I'm like, that was planned.
I'm starting to understand Amish people. Because at a certain point, if all this becomes subliminal, the only thing to do is just be like, no, I'm not watching TV at all.
Are we're one step closer to starting our
cult.
We call it a cult. I call it a commune. Whatever. Yeah. The virtual environment allowed for occult symbolism and ritualistic participation that has been impossible to match in traditional concert settings. The global coordination we documented in part 2 has become more explicit and coordinated. International entertainment events now consistently feature the same occult themes and symbolic imagery, suggesting a level of coordination that transcends national borders and cultural differences. The 2024 Eurovision Song Contest featured multiple performances with explicit occult themes, including ritualistic dancing, satanic imagery, and anti-Christian messaging. Similar themes appeared simultaneously in entertainment events across different continents, suggesting coordinated messaging rather than coincidental cultural trends. The financial network funding this agenda, all of them have become more transparent about their goals. The World Economic Forum's 2024 report explicitly discussed using entertainment and media, again, to prepare society for, quote, necessary changes and new forms of governance.
Oh, so
both quoted from them.
Completely documented that they control the ESG, all the messaging. But then if you say, hey, isn't it weird how the messaging is all dark and demonic? They'll be like, that's crazy.
But also they control all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just a coincidence that the people who control all of it.
So what was once hidden is now being openly discussed by the entities funding these operations. Klaus Schwab's 2024 book, The Great Narrative, explicitly discusses using entertainment to, quote, reshape human consciousness and prepare society for, quote, post-human governance structures.
What does that mean? I don't like that.
AI.
Well, yeah.
What we're ramping up for right now.
The image of the beast.
Yes.
That I do believe will be an AI.
Dude, like, the CEO of Google just came out, I think it was at a TED Talk, and like basically said what's going on with AI is being like underwhelmed and under discussed as far as like how crazy this is about to be, what's coming.
Yeah.
Like that
I believe it.
it's underhyped, I think was the term he used.
I mean, okay, my whole life, I remember Yahoo chat rooms.
Mhm.
Chatbots have been a thing.
Mhm.
It's been a thing. If you told me 5 years ago, if you described the things ChatGPT can do and just, I would be like, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And that's the ones they're giving us.
Right.
Which means they have stuff that's way more advanced.
And we're going to have it soon.
Well, and then things like with OpenAI and stuff, where like those things are trying to get out. Like
Yeah, I know. I've read.
they go to update and it'll be backing itself up on another server, and they don't know how to stop it from doing it.
There was a big article this last week where it was like blackmailing people.
Yes,
Yeah.
lying. Like, yep, yep.
I'm going to become a Luddite.
And it's going to get to the point. I mean, it probably already is to the point where like it's already hidden itself. Like I don't know that there's any turning it off now.
Oh, yeah.
Like you would have to shut off the internet.
It's somewhere. Yeah.
Like you would have to shut off the internet to fully stop it at this point. Like I don't know if unplugging any one server farm or wherever they're creating, I don't think at this point that would even do it.
It might have little packets in everyone's phones
Yep.
that can like reassemble itself.
Yep.
You know, like how we might drop some DNA. You know, what was that movie? The yeah, I think you're right. I think it's over. I think it's happened
I think it's already over. We just don't realize
because
it yet.
it could train. Once it can train itself, it's over, and there's no way it can't train itself.
Oh, we
If
know
can
it
back
can.
itself up. And
Yeah,
stuff, yeah,
it's
yeah.
already doing it.
It's already over. Yeah.
So these current developments suggest that the spiritual warfare we've documented is approaching a critical phase. The patterns that were once subtle and hidden are becoming explicit and undeniable. The agenda that was once theoretical is becoming practical and immediate. From a biblical perspective, this acceleration aligns with prophecies about the end times when spiritual deception will intensify and the forces of darkness will become more bold and explicit in their opposition to God. The entertainment industry's role in this spiritual warfare is becoming clearer and more urgent. Understanding these current developments is crucial for anyone seeking to maintain spiritual discernment in an increasingly deceptive cultural environment. The patterns we've documented aren't just historical curiosities, they're active, ongoing spiritual warfare that affects everyone who consumes modern entertainment. So, understanding the spiritual warfare operating through the entertainment industry is important, but it's not enough. You need practical strategies for protecting yourself and your family from these influences while maintaining discernment in an increasingly deceptive cultural environment. The first and most important step is developing biblical discernment. This means regularly studying scripture, understanding biblical principles, and learning to evaluate all cultural content through the lens of God's word. When you understand what the Bible teaches about spiritual warfare, occult practices, and end times deception, you'll be better equipped to recognize these themes in entertainment. Practical media discernment involves actively analyzing the content you consume rather than passively accepting it. Ask questions about the symbolism, themes, and messages being promoted. Research the background and beliefs of the artists and creators. Understand the financial networks and corporate entities behind the content. This kind of active analysis helps you recognize spiritual manipulation that operates below the level of conscious awareness. Limiting exposure to occult themed entertainment is essential for maintaining spiritual health. This doesn't mean complete cultural isolation, but it does mean being selective about what you allow into your mind and your home. The spiritual conditioning we've documented operates through repeated exposure, so limiting that exposure reduces its effectiveness. Creating alternative entertainment options is crucial for families seeking to avoid occult influence content. This includes supporting Christian artists, independent creators, and content that promotes biblical values. Like, share, subscribe, please. Tell your friends, leave comments. stuff like this. Like there's so much out there. Um, Building a library of spiritually healthy entertainment options provides alternative to mainstream content. Teaching children to recognize occult symbolism and themes is essential in today's cultural environment. Children need to understand what these symbols mean, why they're spiritually dangerous, and how to recognize them in entertainment content. This education should be age appropriate but comprehensive enough to provide real protection, and developing spiritual discernment like prayer, fasting, and worship creates spiritual strength that helps resist cultural manipulation. The entertainment industry's spiritual warfare is designed to weaken spiritual discernment and promote spiritual compromise. Regular spiritual disciplines maintain the spiritual strength necessary to resist these attacks. Building community with like minded believers provides support and accountability in maintaining spiritual discernment. Isolation makes individuals more vulnerable to cultural manipulation, while strong Christian community provides protection and encouragement for maintaining biblical standards. Understanding the technology of manipulation helps you recognize and resist digital influence. This includes understanding how social media algorithms work, how data collection enables targeted manipulation, and how to maintain privacy and autonomy in digital environments. Supporting alternative platforms and creators who promote biblical values helps build cultural alternatives to mainstream entertainment. This includes financial support, social media engagement, and word of mouth promotion of content that aligns with Christian principles. Staying informed about current developments in entertainment industry, spiritual warfare helps you maintain awareness of new threats and manipulation techniques. This includes following researchers and analysts who document these patterns from a biblical perspective. And developing critical thinking skills helps to analyze cultural content objectively rather than being emotionally manipulated by sophisticated marketing and psychological techniques. This includes understanding propaganda techniques, psychological manipulation, and spiritual warfare strategies, which we've done episodes on all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Maintaining hope and perspective is crucial for long term spiritual health. While the spiritual warfare we've documented is real and serious, the Bible promises that God's people will ultimately triumph. Understanding biblical prophecy provides context and hope for current cultural battles. Engaging in spiritual warfare through prayer and intercession is essential for protecting yourself and others from these spiritual attacks. The entertainment industry's occult agenda operates in the spiritual realm, so spiritual resistance through prayer and intercession is necessary for effective protection. These practical steps require commitment and discipline, but they're essential for maintaining spiritual health and an increasingly deceptive cultural environment. The spiritual warfare operating through the entertainment industry is real and dangerous, but it can be recognized and resisted by those who understand its nature and take appropriate protective measures. The goal isn't to live in fear or isolation, but to maintain spiritual discernment and biblical faithfulness while engaging thoughtfully with the culture around us. This requires wisdom, discernment, and a commitment to biblical truth that transcends cultural pressure and manipulation. So we've taken you on a journey through 3 episodes now that reveal the dark forces operating in the entertainment industry. We've shown you the patterns of occult symbolism, the sacrifice narratives, and the normalization of spiritual darkness. We've introduced you to the puppet masters who serve as handlers for celebrities. We've explored the technological systems used for surveillance and control. We've documented the global coordination that suggests a worldwide agenda. And we've examined the financial network that funds this system. But most importantly, we've connected these patterns to biblical warnings about spiritual warfare and end times deception. What we're witnessing isn't just cultural change or a business evolution, it's the fulfillment of biblical prophecy about the establishment of a global system that opposes God and seeks to deceive humanity. The entertainment industry's role in this spiritual warfare is clear. Through occult symbolism and technological manipulation and coordinated messaging, it serves as a primary weapon in the battle for human souls. The agenda we've documented seeks to normalize spiritual darkness, undermine biblical authority, and prepare society for the great deception that the Bible warns will characterize the last days. But understanding this agenda also reveals the choice before us. We can passively consume entertainment without discernment, allowing ourselves and our families to be spiritually conditioned by forces that oppose God, or we can develop biblical discernment, recognize spiritual warfare when we see it, and take active steps to protect ourselves and our loved ones from these influences. The choice isn't between engagement and isolation. It's between discernment and deception, between spiritual awareness and spiritual blindness, between biblical faithfulness and cultural compromise. The patterns we've documented are accelerating, the spiritual warfare intensifying. The agenda is becoming more explicit and urgent. This means that the need for discernment and spiritual preparation is more critical than ever. From a biblical perspective, these developments should not surprise us. Jesus warned that the last days would be characterized by deception so sophisticated that even the elect would be at risk of being deceived. The entertainment industry's role in this deception represents exactly the kind of spiritual warfare that Scripture warns us to expect. But the Bible also promises that those who remain faithful to God's word and maintain spiritual discernment will not be deceived. The same scriptures that warn about end times deception also provide guidance for recognizing and resisting spiritual attacks. The entertainment industry's occult agenda is real, it's coordinated, and it's dangerous, but it's not unstoppable. It can be recognized, resisted, and overcome by those who understand its nature and take appropriate spiritual and practical measures to protect themselves and their family. The question isn't whether the spiritual warfare is happening. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is whether you'll recognize it, prepare for it, and take the necessary steps to protect yourself and your loved ones from its influence. The choice is yours, but the time for making that choice is running out. So, because what's next up is spiritual warfare, and it's bigger than most people can imagine. And whether you're prepared for it will determine not just your cultural engagement, but your spiritual survival. The dark forces in entertainment are real. The puppet masters are operating. The agenda is advancing. But God's people don't have to be victims of this deception. We are overcomers. We can maintain discernment. We can protect our families. And we can stand firm in biblical truth, regardless of cultural pressure and spiritual warfare arrayed against us, but only if we choose to do so, and if we act, and only if we act that choice while there's still time. The battle for your mind, your soul, and your family's spiritual future is happening right now. The entertainment industry is just one battlefield in a much larger spiritual war. The question is, which side are you on?
I think that perfectly sums it up. I got nothing to say.
And that's it. That's part 3.
Great work.
Oh boy, this may have been one of the hardest
Oh, for sure.
things to put
Oh, for
together
sure.
in a coherent way. Dude, it was so hard. Like, I was squirreling all over the place. And it was so
yeah.
hard to okay, let's stay on target. Stay on target.
Anytime I've done a multi-parter, it's always been because it's like I'm reading a book and I've only gotten this far. Like, I can't imagine. You essentially just made a 4-hour episode. No, like a 5.5, 6 hours.
It was about a 4.5 hour.
Yeah.
By the time it's all said and done, a little over 4 hours.
Man, well, great work. Very important stuff.
Yeah, so dig in. There's lots more to find out there. Go look all this stuff up. Do your own research. It's there. References for all these episodes, if you go to the website under show research, like this whole script is there, but at the bottom, I'm trying to get better about keeping track of all my references and sources. So you can go look all this stuff up. I can't promise it's on every episode, but it is something I'm more diligently trying to do as I do research. Because we used to do like a show, like a cited page, and I want to kind of get back to that in the show.
Yeah.
Outlines or whatever. So,
all right.
Thank you all so much for listening. As always, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, sir.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Good shit.